are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Oscar's Guitar Shop with Oscar Jordan, right here on LA Talk Radio.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Oscar's Guitar Shop. I'm Vintage Guitar Magazine contributing writer Oscar Jordan, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. I am so glad to be here with you at this time. I have one of my oldest, best buddies sitting next to me here. His name is Paul Kennedy, a.k.a. Cantankerous K.
And I am burdened with nothing.
He has nothing, but he's a great blues bass player, so if you ever need a great blues bass player, he'll fly anywhere you want to be. He plays stand-up, he plays electric, he plays sitting down even.
I've been told.
Yes, and he plays great stuff, and so Paul Kennedy, that's his name.
I was one of the original bass players in the Oscar Jordan Blues Machine.
That's right. That's my first band when I came to L.A. It was called the Oscar Jordan Blues Machine. And we played the hell out of some blues, did we not?
We did not.
I had a 5150.
Yep.
And playing blues through a 5150. And what did I have back then? I think I had a Yamaha SG-2000. I was trying to be Gary Moore.
Or that, what was that Strat? The one with the picture you posted with the fro and the Fu Manchu mustache.
Yes, that's the I wanted to be Greg Howe too. So I had a Greg Howe HM Strat with splatter paint all over. It was a wonderful time. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sausage Fest. Thank you for coming out and checking out the show. Happy belated birthday to Zach Wild. Thank you so much for the pinch harmonics. I think we're good. Yeah. We're okay. No need for any more pinch harmonics. We're fine. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We've got plenty of that going on. Oh, by the way, I will be running around the NAMM show next Friday and Saturday. You can't miss me because I'll be the black guy wearing an Oscar's Guitar Shop t-shirt riding around in a golf cart drinking gin and tonics with hot Asian girls in orange bikinis. Yes, I will. I wear an ascot and I smoke pipes. So there you go. That'll be me.
You can't miss that.
Yes. The ascot is very colorful, you know. Please say hello, or you can just drop by to the Vintage Guitar Magazine booth, and I'll give you free stuff. I promise that I will, and I always promise. I don't deliver, but I do promise. Would you like to be a helper? Do you know what a helper? Would you like to be a helper and support Oscar's Guitar Shop? Go to oscarsguitarshop.com and click donations to the show. Share the magic inside your wallet. Oscar's Guitar Shop is powered by True Tone Music. Visit them at truetonemusic.com, making your music come to life. Also, Performance Guitars, building custom guitars and basses for the music industry since 1976. Visit them at performanceguitars.com. And last but not least, Mojave Amp Works. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Would you like to become a sponsor of Oscar's Guitar Shop? Would you? Email me at oscarsguitarshop@gmail.com. And now, it's time.
Mom, I'm going to have to use the 1186 number.
Michael Angelo Batio is the most prodigious guitarist in this quadrant of the solar system. He was born with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men and burns up the fretboard, melts faces, and makes no apologies. Guitar World magazine called him the most blazing guitarist on the planet. Since his days in Chicago performing with the rock band Holland in the 1980s, Batio has gone on to write his own ticket, building a highly successful empire with a combination of freakish talent and hard work. He's a schooled musician and guitar innovator who knows how to put on a great show. His current album is a sprawling, note-intensive prog metal roller coaster ride. Intermezzo features some of the most gifted guitarists in metal. Guests include George Lynch, Craig Goldie, Guthrie Govan, Michael Romeo, and Chris Poland, and he's here to tell us all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Mr. Michael Batio. Hey, Michael, you there? I wonder if he's here. Are you there, Michael? Oh, no. I wonder if he's here. Let's see if he's here. Where is he? Paul, where'd he go?
I don't know.
You're supposed to hold on to him.
Maybe he stepped out.
He'll call back. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get him. People, this is...
Yeah, it's sort of like that scene at the Oscars one time when they called somebody who won an award and they were out in the restroom when...
Mm-hmm. And what happened? Okay. Oh, there he is.
I told you he was here.
Is he there?
I was
Oh, there you are. I see you now.
two phone lines at the same time.
Wow, you're a multitasking guitarist, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had one of the lines. I wasn't sure. It seemed to cut out, so I called another.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Angelo Batio. There's 465 people here, right, Paul Kennedy?
At least.
Yes, and they're glad to see you. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
So, how have you been? You're traveling all around the world and doing stuff, and you're getting ready for the NAMM show, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we go out. I leave Tuesday, and then Wednesday we start playing. We're doing a NAMM Metal Jam at the Whiskey, and then Friday night I'm doing a show with Uli John Roth and Don Dokken, and just a lot of stuff going on at NAMM this year. I can't wait.
Oh,
Plus, the weather's a lot nicer than Chicago. Yes.
Wow, you just mentioned a whole bunch of people that just blew my mind. Uli John Roth, huh?
Yeah, I'm good friends with him, and we're doing a really cool event. It's called Extreme Cream. And so Ginger Baker's son, Kofi Baker, Ginger Baker being the original drummer of Cream, is sponsoring this event where we pay homage to the band, and I'm bringing my full band out. So I've got my singer out, and Elliot Rubinson, the owner of Dean Guitars, is actually he plays bass with my show sometimes in my band. So he's coming out, and he's going to be doing the shows, and it's just going to be great. And afterwards, after Uli plays and I play, and then we've got Derek St. Holmes, Ted Nugent's original singer.
Yes.
There's some really cool artists, and then we all get up on stage and do a jam at the end. So it's going to be fun.
Is this at the Whiskey or is it the NAMM?
No, this is a NAMM event. It's on Friday night, and then the Whiskey is on Wednesday, and that we have almost 50 different guest stars coming. It's me. I'm one of the co-headliners, and then a person named Neil Turbin, who's he sang with Anthrax. He was their original singer.
Yeah.
And then another up-and-coming young guitarist named Dave Reffett. The three of us put this on, and we've done this a bunch of years in a row, and this is the biggest, baddest one yet. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, Dave contacted me, and we've been chatting a little bit on via the Facebook Oscars Guitar Shop page, and I got to hear him on your album, and he is awesome.
Yeah, he's really great, and the thing, especially with all the guest stars I have on the record, I'm friends with them, but I'm fans of their music, and Dave deserves to be heard. He's a great player. He's a great person. And he knows George really well. He knew some of the artists even better than I did. So he was he was really helpful in that. So he was helping me, and once things started, it was like the snowball effect. Once George said he would do it, George Lynch, then Guthrie Govan said he would play. All of a sudden, we were talking to different people, and when the first question is, well, who else do you have? And then when they hear the names, it's like, yeah, man, I'm into it. And so it really just, Dave was a big help in that department.
Yeah, for all the people out in Radioland who don't know what the hell we're talking about, Michael Angelo Batio has a new album out called Intermezzo. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's it's a great album because it's very much prog metal, and it's like the greatest guitar players in the world are playing on this album with you. It's like
yeah, thank you. And
Craig Goldie,
about it,
George Lynch, Rusty Cooley, and one of my favorites, Chris Poland, who's been on the show.
He's sick. He's great. I love him.
Guthrie Govan.
And his solo's amazing.
Oh, another of my favorite. I'm a huge Symphony X fan. Michael Romeo. Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've known Michael for a long time. He thanked me on the first couple of Symphony X albums, like Twilight of Olympus and one of the others, and he studied my instructional video. So when I first started doing instructional programs, I was one of the early people doing it. When they really first came out. And I put out pretty much the first shred one ever, before Paul Gilbert, before everybody, and it was really popular back in the day, and it kind of set the bar for other ones. And Michael told me that was a big thing for him. So did John Petrucci, studied the same one. So did Dimebag, and so that's how it started. But I'm a fan of Michael's. He was a fan of mine, and it was just. And he played a vicious solo on my album. I mean, it's like Sean Lane mixed with Michael Romeo. I mean, it's intense, and that's what I love about it. Everybody brought their A game to the table.
Oh, it's really it's face splattering. It's really, really good. I'm a big Michael Romeo fan. Also, he wasn't the only one who has your instructional. I actually have it. I have it on cassette. It's the Starlicks book. I have the book, and I had it back in the day. It was like 1987, I think it came out.
That's the exact year. And what's funny? Back then, they had no tablature software programs.
Wow.
So it was all handwritten. I was the only one out of everybody who released one of the videos back then that wrote out my own booklet. I wrote it out by hand. So if you actually look at the booklet, that's my handwriting. No one else, because they had a transcriber at Starlicks that did it for everybody. It was Wolf Marshall, who was really great, and he's a nice guy. And I asked Wolf, I said, it's no, we got along really good, but I said, I have a degree in music. I said, I took notation in school. I'd really like to write my own booklet. And then I conferred with him, and he was totally cool with it. So, but I still have the original manuscript. I was proud of it. It was the first really major thing that I'd ever done in LA, and I really wanted to make it special.
Yeah. Well, I have to speak as someone who is a young man in those times, who are, when you're younger and you're listening to someone play that fast, you have to have someone break it down for you. Because then it's just forget it. If you hit something that fast and you aspire to play in that style of music, there was nothing else at that time, like you said, and it was great because you could actually see the note selection and you can see how it fit in time, and if you studied hard enough, you can get the feeling for that, and it was really a groundbreaking book, and I recommend if anyone can find it on eBay. I don't know if is it still in print?
Well, here's what we did. We because it's this is funny. It's 25 years ago. The copyright expired, and so what we did, we were able to acquire the rights. So now my company, Mace Music, sells a DVD version of it.
I see.
Yeah. So now the booklet's in PDF form, and so you can get it from my website.
That's great. Well, that's good to know. Let me just so because people, their minds wander and they multitask. Just so you know, if you want to go check out what he's talking about, just go to, is it Angelo.com?
Yes, Angelo.com.
Angelo.com. Yeah, check that out. It's good stuff. I would like to play another song from your record. This is a really good record, Intermezzo. It's called The Possession, a tone poem. I'm going to play the track. I am going to do a commercial, and then we'll be right back. And I'd like to talk about some things I don't really hear many people talking about in your career, is the fact that not only are you from Chicago, but you were a jazz guy.
That's right.
And so now, I mean, and people would go, what? Huh? Well, we're going to get into it in a second. Here's the tune. It goes a little like this. Wow. Well, I have carpal tunnel now, listening to that. Holy Christ on a sit and spin. Wow. Very, very cool.
State Patrol just pulled him over for going too fast.
Yes, broke the speed limit. Performance Guitars has been making hand-built custom guitars and basses since 1976. That's right. Their clients have included some of the biggest names in the music industry, including Frank and Dweezil Zappa, Warren D. Martini, Billy Sheehan, Steve Vai, and Joe Walsh. Funk 49, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Funk 49. Their attention to detail, craftsmanship, great customer service, and on-site construction has made them a top choice for musicians the world over. Their guitar, amp, and effects repair is second to none. Their Corsair Guitar Series and YB Bass Series was created for the working professional who needs an instrument that can perform in a variety of musical situations. Their Frank Zappa-inspired effects pedals specialize in real analog and true bypass sounds. Performance guitars and basses will provide a seamless connection between you and the creation of great music. Visit Performance Guitars at performanceguitars.com or call 323-883-0781. That's 323-883-0781. Tell them Oscar sent you. Say, hey, Cooney, Oscar sent me. Yeah. I love you too. Hey, Mr. Michael Angelo Batio, that was incredible. That was a great track.
Thanks.
That was really cool. Now, going back in time, now we were talking, just to, let everyone in on this, I interviewed you, I believe it was early last week, for the Vintage Guitar Magazine. That's going to be a feature on you. And what we talked about briefly that is not in the interview is that I am from Chicago, you're from Chicago, and I remember seeing Holland back in the day.
That's right.
and you were awesome. You were like the guy. You were in Chicago amongst metal fans. You were the man. And I remember going out with my friend Mickey Thomas. We had our Jerry curls, and we would go and we'd sit up there and just have our face melt off. And it was just a great show. Holland was a great band.
Oh, thanks.
You guys were awesome.
Yeah, that was my first experience being signed to a major label. It was great. And the singer, Tom, he taught me a lot. He was a great singer. He was a great frontman because he was so natural on stage. Nothing he said was contrived or, hello, Cleveland. He didn't sound like a wrestler. He was just really, really comfortable on stage. And I loved working with the band. It was great.
Yeah. Well, he had great charisma, everything. The whole band was, and what was cool is that you guys had something for everybody in terms of in a rock band, because you would just melt faces, but the actual songs had hooks. They were songs that people could remember. Wake Up the Neighborhood and stuff like that. They all had strong hooks, memorable hooks, which was, a lot of metal bands didn't have that. They were just heavy or they were dark. But you guys had hooks. You guys had a great songwriting partnership.
Thanks. Yeah, Tom and I pretty much wrote all the music. And I had that song "Wake Up the Neighborhood" that you mentioned. I was just writing this like heavy metal song, and I was like, and I had this really intricate riff going on, and all of a sudden Tom hears it for 2 seconds, and he goes, "Wake up the neighborhood." It was that fast. And we had another song called "Gotta Run" that became one of our most popular songs. And I remember Tom, the singer, had the verse and the pre-chorus, and he just and it ended with "Don't say no, gotta run." So I said, Tom, it's missing something, and then I went bump 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 bump, gotta run, and then I came up with the chorus, and it was a really great duo songwriting partnership. And then our bass player and of course our drummer, would add in their parts, every once in a while. But it was mainly me and Tom, and the singer. And it was so much fun to write with him. He really had a lot of ideas, and his voice was so soulful and just genuine. It was really, really great.
Yeah, you guys were great. It was very, very inspiring. Okay. Made people jump in the woodshed and get to work. Break out the metronome.
Yeah, and the thing that it's funny because when you get known as a fast guitar player, or when people term you a shredder, the first things people want to say is, all they do is play fast, they have no feeling, and they can't write songs. It's like the big three, but it's just not. I didn't come from that place. I was the term shred didn't even come into play until the 90s. In the 80s, no one called it shred. We were trying to be good. You know, we didn't think playing fast was a bad thing. You know, but it was interesting because, as you know, we were a song-oriented band and they allowed me some space to play. Even our producer, Tom Morello, he liked the fact that I riffed out every once in a while, you know, in the context of the songs. But I came from that school. You know, we wanted to write really good tunes, and then we put the cool stuff in. So it was fun. I just loved that time.
Yeah, there's people like to brand things. I mean, even on the Facebook Oscar's Guitar Shop Facebook page, people were making little cracks, you know. But what people don't know about you is that you have a jazz background and you are an academic and you studied, you got your degreed up, and you know what you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah, you know, I have a saying for myself. I'm always a student. You know, I never think, you know, that I'm so great that I can't learn something new. And you know, it's funny because I started guitar at 10. And I remember my very first guitar lesson like it was yesterday because he taught me 4 chords. It was G, G7, C, and D7 on the first 4 strings of a guitar. So they were very simple positions except for D7. That was kind of hard. But I remember he showed me the 4 chords, and by the end of the half-hour lesson, I was strumming. I turned it into a song. And I didn't know anything about theory then, but I went G, G7, C, D7, G, and I cadenced it out. I made it so it sounded musical to me, and then but I started taking jazz guitar very early. I had a great jazz teacher. One was named Arnie Evanson. Then he quit, and I had another teacher named Frank Dawson. And Frank was the man. He was a session musician in Chicago, a really school jazz player, older guy at the time, and you know, he was showing me, you know, I was, you know, C major 7, you know, all chords that didn't sound rock at all. And for a while there, I didn't even listen to rock music. He was showing me, you know, Breathin' by George Benson, and then or things like, you know, we were into Wes Montgomery and Antonio Carlos Jobim. You know, I was playing like Stormy, you know, Take 5, all these jazz tunes, and it was, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Wow. I swear, if you start breaking out some Wes Montgomery tunes at the NAMM show, people are just going to like fart. They're going to fart because they'll go, wait a minute, I came here to see Fire Breathing Shred and he's playing 4-on-6, you know? But that's exactly just to kind of knock people out, you know, and say, hey, I can do other things. That's awesome. I'm a big Wes Montgomery fan too, you know.
Me too. In fact, I still use octaves a lot. You know, I have an overdrive sound, but, you know, I never... And George Benson was amazing at playing octaves. I mean, that guy could play so fast. It's like, you know, and he's doing it in octaves. But yeah, I love that sound, and I still use that technique today.
Yeah, that's very cool that you have that background. I bet people did not know that. Also, what I find interesting is that I played guitar in Chicago, but I never, you know, was amazing like you. But you got to do a lot of session work in Chicago at the time, correct?
That's right. And I did it by accident. I was going to Northeastern University, and I was majoring in music, and they had this class where you could get 3 credit hours if you got an outside sponsor. And one of the things was to become a recording engineer. They had a bunch of different things, and there was a studio. I grew up in Des Plaines, right by O'Hare, and so there was a studio there that... I used to drive by it all the time. So I walked in. The owner was named Todd McGuire, and I said, Todd, I showed him the piece of paper. I said, if you can sponsor me and teach me to be a recording engineer, and I didn't even know. I just walked in and talked to him. I said, I'll get 3 credit hours, and I said I would do, you know, I'd be an intern for you for free. You know, I just do it. And he goes, okay. And then there was this Les Paul in the corner of the room. And I go, hey, I play guitar. Do you mind if I check your guitar out? I picked it up and I riffed out. And I gave him my intimidation riff. I was like, you know. And he goes, hey. He goes, can you read music? I said, yeah. And he goes, read this for me. So he pulls out a chart. I read it for him. And Todd, it was this song. I'll never forget it. It's called Part of the Picture. It sounded like Barry Manilow meets like some bizarre thing. And I didn't think the song was all that great. but it was catchy. And it turned out Todd McGuire had this company called TMC Music. He wasn't the greatest songwriter, but that guy could write a jingle. And all of a sudden, instead of learning to be a recording engineer, he hired me that day to come in to do session work. And I really got along with him good because he would write like a C chord, but he didn't want me to play C. He wanted me to play something cool. And that's what I learned about session work. It's not just the notes, it's to make it happen. And it was live in the studio. We had a keyboard player. We were all in isolation booths. Drummer, bass player, and me, and we were the core band. And I ended up. I was doing a ton of session work. I mean, you name it: McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King. I don't want to keep saying names, but it was all the big stuff. And Todd wrote it all. He was the guy. Wow. It was great. I loved it, and it was a really great learning experience for me too. But my jazz background helped because I didn't play many C chords. They wanted major sevenths. They wanted 6/9, whatever, C13, whatever sounded correct. And the keyboard player had a jazz background, so we would interpret the music, and we were like this killer studio band, and we played together for years. Yeah. It went on for about 5 years.
Burger King, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC, United Airlines, United Way, McDonald's.
Yeah. Even the Chicago Wolves.
Chicago Wolves.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, it was fun, and Todd was really a great guy. He's really. I learned too about how to. I was under a lot of pressure sometimes because sometimes producers would come in because they were paying for it. So you get a guy that came in and he was on a power trip. He wanted to be egotistical, and I had somebody tell me. He just screamed into, I was in another room. He just yelled into the talkback, "You're doing it wrong! You're doing it wrong!" And then he came out and he actually grabbed my guitar and he played it with one finger. And he goes, "You're supposed to do it like this." And then Todd's looking at me like, "Dude, you better do it right." And so what I did was I played the part exactly the same way as I did because I knew I was playing it right. I just did the fingering kind of like the guy, using 1 and 2 fingers. Uh-huh. And he looked at me, he's like, "It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it." And because I listened to him, didn't freak out, and just did my thing. And, I was really cool under pressure, but I was super nervous. I was freaking out inside, but I just didn't let him see it.
Never let him see his sweat.
Yeah.
Very cool. Did you give guitar lessons to Tom Morello?
I did, yes. I don't teach privately, but I think anybody who teaches, probably the most noble thing ever. But I used to teach in the North Shore of Chicago in Highland Park, and all my students, they were very wealthy, and I was from Des Plaines. I wasn't in the high rent zone. So, but I'd go out to Highland Park, and I had a student named Tom, and he told me that he had speeditis, and that he told me that he one hand couldn't sync with the other, and I think one of the reasons even my instructional programs are so good is. Because I have a degree, that's not teaching to say a big word. Teaching somebody something is to give them, in my opinion, to show something. Like I was really good at showing like complex things in a really simple way. So I showed Tom simple exercises that were like life-changing that put his hands together. And I remember at a NAMM show in the late 90s, I was there. I was just hanging out for Washburn and Randall before I was back with Dean. And he comes up to me and he's like, "Thank you, Mike." And I was like, I didn't recognize him at first. And then he said, he told me, all the things. And I said, "Tom, man, it's good to see you again." And I knew he was in Rage Against the Machine, but I didn't put that person with Rage. But he thanked me. He said it was a musical epiphany when he took lessons from me, and I was really honored. And what better example of a guitarist? He can shred if he wants, but he's got his own style. But yes, I did teach him. It was great, and he said it, and he mentioned it in magazines before.
Yeah, because I think he's from Joliet, so he's in that kind of Chicago-ish area.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think back then he lived in Libertyville, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Because it wasn't that far away from where I was teaching. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I met him there once too, and then I met him later on through some other friends when he came out here before Rage. I remember when he was in a band called Lockup. That's where I first remember him, and he was pretty cool in that. Anyway, I want to play another track from the record. I'm very impressed with this record. I love it. This next tune is called Pillars of Steel. It's from the album Intermezzo from Michael Angelo Batio. I'm going to play a track, do a commercial, and I shall return. That's a very long track. I wish I could have played the whole thing, but it's only a 50-minute show. But people, you got to go check out this album. It's a great album. And on that particular track, I was 5,000 guitar players were playing on that track. There was Dave Raffet. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah, Dave Reffett is first.
Reffett, and then
Jeff Loomis, who played in Nevermore with Chris Broderick, that's in Megadeth now. Jeff is second, I'm third, so it ended with mine. And then it comes back in, and then Rusty Cooley starts, then George Lynch, then a great Italian guitar player named Andrea Martingelli. Then it ends with Craig Goldie, that used to play with Dio, and then it fades. So it's called. And then the owner of Dean Guitars, Elliot, Dean Rubinson, is playing bass on the track. And I mean, when he does his bass solo, it's killer. I mean, it sounds like Tim Bogart meets Jaco Pastorius. I mean, the guy's really, really a killer player.
Yeah, that's an awesome track. And,
thank you.
And it's just so funny because the way you have usually what they do is when they do albums that are similar to this, where they have guests, they always have some big chunk section between each player. You have them back to back, so you can really hear the difference in the styles, and it's amazing because like when George Lynch does that one riff that's his like riff that he does, just like it's George. I love George Lynch. He just pops out. I heard him right away. Anyway, I got to go to a quick commercial, and then we'll be back because I want to talk about some gear stuff. True Tone Music is a virtual candy store for guitarists and bass players. They're world famous for having the best selection of new and used and vintage guitars in the Los Angeles area. Located at 714 Santa Monica Boulevard in the city of Santa Monica, True Tone Music offers the widest selection of exceptionally high-quality guitars and basses. They stock name brands like Gibson, Epiphone, Gretsch, and much, much more, even Fender. Check out their wide selection of Martin acoustic guitars. Martin is the leading manufacturer of steel string flat top acoustics and synonymous with handcrafted excellence. True Tone Music is where the top names in the music industry shop for guitars, basses, amps, and boutique pedals. They'll also match any online price and back it up with top-notch customer service and support. Support, like a bra. I feel supported, yes. Visit them online at truetonemusic.com or call 310-393-8232. That's 310-393-8232. Ask for Ken. Tell him Oscar sent you. That's me.
What? No.
Yes. So, I can't speak enough about this record because I'm a guitar freak. I can't help it. I'm a freak, and I have a job where I can use my guitar freakishness to serve mankind, which is writing for the magazine about guitar players. So like all these guys like Joe Stump, he's on Overload on that track.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
There's just all these great players on here. Chris Poland. Oh, Chris Poland. He's on this. I got to tell you this quick Chris Poland story. I interviewed him last month, and I said, "Hey, Chris, what have you been up to? The album's out, blah blah blah." He's with a fusion band locally here called Ohm, and he goes, "Man, I played on this track for Michael Angelo Batio, and it was the fastest fucking thing I've ever played in my life." and he goes, and my God, it was like. I couldn't believe that human beings were actually playing this fast, but I knew they were human beings because they told me they were human beings, and I played on the track, and it was just and so at the time I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and then when I got your CD, I went, oh, that's what he's talking about, and that's the tune Juggernaut that he plays on with Guthrie Govan. Mm-hmm. And it's just a great track, and now I know what he's talking about. But he was like really excited to play on Juggernaut, and that was pretty cool.
He did an amazing solo, and on there, just on that track alone, it's me, Chris, then it's Mike Lapon, Symphony X's bass player, then Michael Romeo and Guthrie Govan, and it's Guthrie's second solo on the record, and he uses a fretless guitar on there, and it's just, and then Dave Reffett plays a second solo, and it was so much fun to have all those great guitarists on one track. I just loved the way it turned out, and I'm very pleased. And Chris did an amazing solo, and you can hear his style. You can immediately hear it's him when he comes in.
I'm going to have Dave on the show because it sounds like he was really instrumental in helping you put all this together.
He really is, and you know, that's the thing I like. Maybe it's a different time, but I remember coming up in the '80s in L.A. You know, and this is you know, because when I moved to L.A. from Chicago, the competition was so fierce. I mean, you know, Paul Gilbert was out there, Tony McAlpine, Yngwie, you know, everybody you can imagine. You know, it was the cutting edge. But you know, we all knew each other, but it wasn't. It was friendly. But nowadays, it's more like a club. We're the guitar club. You know, we're like Jeff Loomis and I. You know, we have fun hanging out, and George is really cool, and Guthrie Govin's really cool, and so is Chris. So it's more. I don't know. Maybe it's the times, but it feels like we're more of a community now than we were back then. It may be less competition. I don't know, but I like the place that guitar's at right now, and the main people who are in it.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like there's a lot more camaraderie going on now. Whereas I remember I religiously used to read those guitar magazines back in the 80s, and it was a heavy, stiff competition, and everybody was trying to outdo each other, and you know, Vivian Campbell was trying to play faster than Yngwie, and George Lynch was trying to play faster than Vivian Campbell, and they were touring, and it was this one-upmanship thing. And now it's more like you guys are survivors. You're still here. You're playing your asses off. You're doing what you do that you love, and you get to show up at the NAMM show and shake hands. It's great.
Yeah. And when we jam on stage, it's fun. You know, you know, nobody goes up like when I jam with Uli John Roth. I'm not going up to show him that I'm faster than him. We go up and we have fun musically, and that's what makes it. And then, I mean, he's a great guitarist as well. It might turn into some fast riffs, but it's not like we go up there to play music first, and then you know, the fun stuff. You know, if we happen to start really ripping, that's just the way it goes. You know, we just take it where it goes. But I love it, and I really enjoy it.
Mm. We were talking last time about your switch to the 7-string. Tell me about how that offers you more creativity. How does that help you work your art?
Well, I think it helped me write music because it was a different sound, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when I was in the band Nitro, I had this wild 4-neck quad guitar. The two top guitars were 7-string, so this isn't like it's a new thing for me, but what I will say is the 7-string, in my humble opinion, is here to stay. I think that it's accepted. It sounds great for a guitar player to go from 6 to 7. It's a very logical leap. It makes sense to your fingers. You know, once you get the feel of the neck, it's really comfortable to play, and it's just easy to understand. And I kind of consider myself a 6-string guitarist. Always will be a 6-string guitarist that sometimes plays 7, but I love 7-string. I absolutely love it, and it really helped me writing this new album because I could play riffs that on that low B that just sounded mean, and it made me write it a little different way. And that's what was so much fun about it.
Michael Angelo, thank you so much for coming on the program. This is great. I really appreciate you coming on. Wow.
Thanks, Oscar.
That was very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Thank you, Michael Angelo Batio. I'd like to thank our special guest, Michael Angelo Batio. Can't say it enough. Set mind to purpose and visit him at angelo.com and purchase every piece of music he has ever written. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Performance Guitars, building custom guitars and basses for the biggest names in the music industry since 1976. Visit them at performanceguitars.com and also True Tone Music at truetonemusic.com. And last but not least, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Want to become a sponsor? Email me at oscarsguitarshop@gmail.com. Tune in next week when our guest will be the future of the blues, Chicago's own Toronzo Cannon. Take care of yourselves. Be nice to each other. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.